friends, welcome back to my channel. I decided to make another video. Today I'm going to be doing the reader problems tag. This is just a fun little tag that's been going around on booktube and I wanted to participate. The real me, if everything goes according to plan, is in Mexico right now. I freaking better be in Mexico right now. If I'm not, what happened? Okay, let's just do the tag. Question number 1. You have 20,000 books on your TBR. How are you going to decide what to read next? In theory, I have a structured TBR because every month I have certain commitments that I'm doing, if it's buddy reads or certain videos I want to put out that are themed or a review I want to do. But ultimately, I'm a mood reader, so the TBR that's structured pretty quickly falls apart and I just read whatever I want. But yeah, if you're asking how do I decide on paper, I usually sign up for a few buddy reads throughout the month, or I have book clubs, or there are brand new things that I'm really excited about, so I just prioritize them. Question 2, you're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you quit it or are you committed? I quit it. Oh my gosh, I'm a champion DNFer. I don't have the actual stats, but I want to say of all the books I start, I only finish like a 10th of them is probably generous. I DNF a lot of books and I have no guilt. Do what makes you happy. And reading a book that you don't like will not make you happy. Unless you're a completionist, then I understand. But if you're normal, sorry, then just DNF the book. No one cares. Question 3, the end of the year is coming and you're so far behind on your Goodreads reading challenge. Do you try to catch up? How? I guess this kind of happened to me with last year's. My goal, I wasn't actually that far behind on my goal. I was pretty close to it, so it felt important to catch up. And the way I did that, and always do, is I just read a bunch of novellas. I know there's some debates around, for whatever reason, about whether or not novellas should count towards your book total for the year, and yes, they should. They're books. All books are books. So I did read a bunch of novellas just to like pad that list and hit my goal. If I was farther away from the goal, I wouldn't really care. Ultimately, the number of books you read per year is actually entirely meaningless. If you're trying to like show off your skill, we should really be counting how many pages you read a year. That's much more impressive, and it's why I don't keep track of that number, because then I would not be impressive. Question 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Okay, I'm actually dealing with this right now because I'm reading, hold on, I have it in front of me. I'm currently reading Ancillary Justice. Hopefully I'm finished it by the time this video comes out. But I have this and the third book, Ancillary Mercy, in this edition that I thrifted. But they have since been reprinted with these new covers that are, they're whatever. I don't know how I'm gonna get the second one in this edition because it doesn't get printed anymore and I thrifted these. So I have to kind of decide. I already know I'm not just gonna be rebuying all 3 books with the new covers because I'm not a huge fan of the new covers anyways. So I kind of have to figure out how to get a copy of Ancillary Sword in this edition or just have a mismatched book, because I do actually want to finish this series. So I guess my answer is it bothers the heck out of me, and if I can easily or cheaply correct the problem that they don't match, I will. But if it's too much work or if it's not worth the money and hassle, then deal with it and cry a little. Question 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you do not like. Who do you bond over this with, and how do you share your feelings? I definitely don't hide my feelings. I usually feel that I bond with people that come out of the woodwork. I don't go to a specific person and say like, oh my God, I hated this book. I'll just talk about it on YouTube or on Instagram, and then people come to me and bond with me over it. I don't think there are too many books that I like hate that people love. I'm not one of those people that just like hates things that are popular because that's what the cool kids do. No, I hate books that I hate for a good reason. I was doing a stream with Celebrity and I brought up one of my like hot takes, book hot takes, which is that the Lord of the Rings books are like insufferable, and anyone who says their favorite book is insane. And I thought that was gonna be like a crazy polarizing opinion, but apparently it's not. I think based on my memory, he agreed with me. And I'm not a Lord of the Rings hater, okay? I have a tattoo. I have Theoden's sword, Heragram, tattooed on my arm. So like, I love Lord of the Rings. I just think the books are really hard to read. Anyways, that wasn't the question. That was just a little mini rant. Question 6. You are reading a book and are about to start crying in public. What do? I don't cry over books very often. And if I do, it's because I'm really involved in the book, which only happens while reading at home. I did have a sort of this situation. I was listening to basically the end of Jade City while I was doing inventory at work. So it was like kind of in public because there were other people there, but it wasn't like in front of strangers. And I didn't cry, but I definitely got very flustered 2 times. One, because a random sex scene happened. I was listening to this sex scene while counting books, and then my coworker came and started talking to me, and I'm like, hold on, let me pause this. He's about to finish in her, but let me pause this. And then I also finished the book, and I just had to focus. So I actually just stopped working. I just stopped counting my books and was like, I need like 10 minutes to myself. I'm just gonna like walk around and look busy while I actually listen to the end of this book. So I get flustered in public. What's the question? How do I deal with it? Or what do you do? I just have my feelings. If I was gonna cry over a book in public, I wouldn't be like gasping, sobbing, crying. I would be like reserved with little tears rolling down my face, and I'd probably try to hide it, but I wouldn't be like embarrassed. Question 7. A sequel of a book you love came out and you've forgotten a lot from the prior book. Will you reread the book, skip the sequel, find a recap, or what? Y'all, I'm gonna skip the sequel. I skipped the sequel anyway, even if I literally just finished the book and the second one's already available. I'm not a series girly, you know this. Although one of my goals for 2024 is to continue and complete more series. I guess the answer to this question with that goal as the context is I would find a recap. I would not reread the book. I don't have time or energy or commitment for that. I'll find a YouTube recap or a written synopsis or something and go from there. Question 8. You do not want anyone, that's capitalized, borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people no? I just tell them no. It's my property, I don't have to share it if I don't want to. Also though, people don't really ask to borrow my books. Most of my bookish friends either don't read the same books as me, or they already own copies of the books I own, or like would prefer to own their own copies anyways. I've offered a couple times if people want to borrow my books, but they usually decline because they just want their own copy of it anyway. There is this story I've told before, how Ryan loaned out my copy of Way of Kings without telling me, and then the man he loaned it to absconded with the book. Update, I actually got it back. He didn't read it, but he did return it to my husband. So call off the police, unrelease the hounds. My property's been returned. Question 9. You've picked up and put down 5 books in the last month. How do you get over a reading slump? It is tricky, very tricky, because that's me. I start like 5 new books every month. I get over reading slumps in one of 2 ways, I'd say. One is I just have to sit my ass down and commit to a book, and I give myself a very small daily reading goal. I used to do like a time reading goal, like I'll read for an hour, but that just didn't feel like making progress. So right now, because I'm actually coming out of a reading slump right now, I just do 20 pages a day of each book that I'm reading. So right now for me, that's 40 pages a day. And I've been sticking to it for the most part. The other way I get myself out of a reading slump depends on what books I have on hand, but I just read novellas or short books because then I can feel a sense of accomplishment. The biggest reason I personally fall into a reading slump is because reading big books just feels like I'm accomplishing nothing, and it takes away from the enjoyment of the book, and I wish it didn't. I know that that is silly and it shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately that's just how it is. So I'll read novellas or books under like 200 pages just to get a couple of the way and feel good about my reading, and then I can get back into the big ones. Question 10. There are so many good books coming out you're dying to read. How many do you actually buy? All of them. That's my answer. All of them. And the last question, which is question 11. After you've bought these new books, you can't wait to read them. How long do they sit on your shelf before you read them? Possibly forever. Since I'm a mood reader, I do sometimes read the book immediately after buying it, which is great. And then sometimes I buy a book and it literally never gets read. I wonder what the oldest book on my shelf is, like the book that's been sitting on my shelf the longest is. Probably Red Rising, because I got that in 2012 and I never finished it. I did read it mostly, but it was a DNF because I was a child. Okay, I know it's good. Calm down. Either that or like Sunwing by Kenneth Opel, which I would have had since like 2004 and never read, and I still own it, so it could be that. I don't know. But that was every question in the reader problems tag. I've written all of the questions out in the description in case you want to do this tag yourself. Let me know what your answers are to some of these questions. I'm definitely curious about a lot of them, like, do you DNF? Do you place a lot of self-worth on your Goodreads goal? Before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell icon so you know when I upload new videos. I upload 2 days a week. I love you guys. Goodbye.